Yes, sir.
Saw something disturbing this morning. I was walking my in-laws' dog down 21st Street, and I saw this dude come riding by me on a bicycle singing a song he had no business singing, and it was disturbing.
You'll never find
No,
blum 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 a
no,
hairline like ours.
whoa, no.
Oh,
He was singing, I got my t-shirt and my panties on. And
sounds like a good song to be singing in the mirror in the morning. Must have had a great night.
from a dude?
He must have had a great night.
I guess it's just one of those days.
I like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, batten down the hatches. We'd like to introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the Beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
What's going on, family? What's going on, bro?
I don't know what the rest of your body is, but it doesn't matter, bro. Happy Tuesday.
Happy
Shouts out
Tuesday.
to Adina Howard, man. Adina Howard does not get the credit she deserves. I'm so glad you mentioned that classic song of hers, T-shirt and panties. Bro, Buddy was thinking about the song he heard on repeat last night. That's why he was singing it, because that's what he was doing last night, and the song just kept playing in his head, so he was singing it, bro. That's all.
It was just not a good picture, bro. Not at all. Not at all. Because he was riding down the street with some shorts on and a wife beater. And he reminded me of a guy I used to work with that I sat behind.
Never mind. You always got to figure out a way to mess the story up, bro, but okay. So, as we begin this Tuesday, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling okay. Feeling pretty good. It's Tuesday. My wife is on spring break. My daughter is not. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when my daughter's on spring break and my wife is not. It's gonna be very interesting. But their spring break goes a little different. From my understanding, their spring break goes from like Thursday to Wednesday.
Oh,
So, it'll be pretty interesting.
yeah.
It makes it hard if you're trying to travel, but since I'm not because of COVID, listen, I decided today I was going to represent. I am right now what every frustrated housewife says she needs. Just ahead.
I mean, yeah, yeah. But you're on the road today, bro. I tell you that. The opening monologue that was a bit, and then you jumped into the story to like completely mess up a picture that I had painted that most people would have been okay with. You totally destroyed that, and then you come out with that joke. So we're gonna talk some combat sports this morning, bro. Maurice Hooker, Virgil Ortiz this weekend.
Yes.
I'm hyped. The Zone. It's a great fight at 147, bro. I'm here for this fight. Any thoughts?
Been watching a lot of Virgil Ortiz highlights. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. This is gonna be a good fight. I mean, I just believe it's gonna be one of those where we're gonna see just how good of a boxer Hooker really is. Because I don't know about you, but it's gonna be interesting to see him stand there if he wants to stand there and trade with Ortiz.
Yeah, we're gonna learn more about Virgil Ortiz in this fight, only because I think Maurice Hooker's a step up in competition.
Yeah.
I think since Maurice Hooker has been with B&B Boxing, Bo Mack and Bud, I think he's still with them. I think he's probably going to pick up. He's going to get better. He's going to get better. Being in the camp with Jamari Herring and Bud Crawford and Steven Nelson and the other guys, he's going to get better. But better is relative if someone's just a better fighter than you are, right? And I think that's what we're trying to figure out. If that's what we're going to see from Virgil Ortiz, is he just going to be a better fighter than Maurice Hooker? Maurice Hooker is going to be, he's going to come game ready. He's a former world champ. He's not new to this. Okay, he's true to this. Been around the block a while. So this is going to be a good fight, man. I'm excited for it, just like you are, bro. But I think we're going to learn more about Virgil Ortiz in this fight.
We'll definitely learn a lot about Virgil Ortiz, but I don't prescribe to that we're going to learn more about him than we learn about Maurice Hooker. I just think it's going to be a good fight. It's going to be one of those fights that if you don't see it, you look at the highlights and wish you had seen it. And people will be talking about it, and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. So you really want to see this fight.
Yeah, and when I say that we're going to learn more about Virgil Ortiz, when I say that for everybody that's out there too, that's not me swaying in one way or the other as far as who I'm picking or who I would pick. I'm just saying that this person probably has more to prove in this fight. Maurice Hooker's been a former world champ. Maurice Hooker's had losses. Maurice Hooker's been around a while. He's a veteran. We kind of know what we get with Maurice Hooker now. How much of a better version are we going to see now that he's with B&B? That is yet to be seen. We still got to learn something about Virgil Ortiz. I mean, he's still at this point. I don't want to call him a prospect. I think he's a legitimate contender now on his way, but I think he still has the more trajectory, the higher ceiling at this point than does Maurice Hooker. But either way, it's gonna make for a great fight, boy. So we got something to tune into Saturday. I got to get the time. I know it's on the Zone. I don't know what the time is on that, so I'll get that at some point in the show. But that'll be Saturday on the Zone.
Okay. Heard something on the internet, and they were talking about Dana White, and they were talking about the UFC, and not everybody feels like you do, bro. That Dana's winning with all these cards. A lot of prognosticators are feeling that when Bellator really kicks in with their cards in April, it's going to really test the UFC, and they're going to have to put out better quality cards than they have been on these fight nights.
I think what the sentiment is that I share, and I think you probably agree with me here, when I say the UFC is winning, I mean they're putting on cards that don't look. These UFC fight night cards are really designed just for the new people coming into the UFC. It's more for the prospects, or maybe the guy that's kind of been around for a while. You kind of want to give a main event to, having to give him all the pomp and circumstance. What I'm simply implying when I say he's winning, bro, is that we're getting good fights. Fights that we don't think are probably going to be good, or fights that we don't even think we want to see. We see them in their competitive fights. That's all I'm saying. And I think during the pandemic, he did a better job of that than any other promotion out there, and that's across combat sports.
That part I agree with. I was just talking about just some of the things that I'm reading when they talk about winning being the quality of fights. You're right. We have gotten some good fights, but some of these cards, you've had one or two good fights, and you've had like 11 especially on the fight night cards. Or you have three. I say it the most. It's been rare that I've seen a fight night card where the whole main card was just, man, that whole main card was good. Now, when you talk about the UFC, the bigger pay-per-views, yeah, it has been. But the fight night card, and these are for people who don't have ESPN Plus. So if you have ESPN Plus, this is just a bonus for you because you're paying for it anyway, and you're getting these fights.
I think the bigger problem with this is it's not so much, again, we have to look at the business model of the UFC. We have to understand what fight night cards are for. Bro, understand this guy has over 200 fighters. He has to get them all fights. Have to all fight 3 to 4 times a year. He puts on good main event pay-per-view cards once a month. Sometimes you may get 2 in a month depending on, who's kind of up on the scheduling. But he has so many fights to fill, bro, a la PBC. PBC does Showbox. They was giving us Thursday night fights at some point on Fox. They went and giving us Tuesday night fights. They give us some main event Fox cards on like a Saturday, where the main event is kind of okay. It ain't quite a pay-per-view card like Vegas or Madison Square or Barclay, but it's a good quality fight. It's the same business model. So I don't want to subscribe to that being bad, but I just think if you understand the model, then you understand what you're going to get.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Speaking of the number of fighters, when you look at like Leon Edwards, good morning, Sunshine. They were they made a point to emphasize during the Edwards fight that he hasn't fought in 2 years, but it hasn't been his fault. He's had a lot of fights canceled, and this is before the pandemic.
Yeah.
How do you, if you're an advisor, a trainer, a manager, how do you deal with a fighter who just can't get a fight? Fighters are canceling on him. Fighters are choosing somebody else in the midst of a camp to fight in place of him. How do you keep a guy going like that, and is that the promotion's fault?
Yeah, it's absolutely the promotion's fault, and unfortunately, on that was, it's you always have that guy, right? And I think this is going to be a pretty accurate comparison: Demetrius Andrade in boxing, right? You get guys that sometimes just kind of too good for their own good, but they're not quite superstars. Like, you could probably market them, but they just don't have the pizzazz, the hook. They don't have that it factor per se. But when you get them in front of the camera, they're good, but they're just. You have guys that like that, and this is Leon Edwards' cross to bear. Unfortunately for him, now the good thing about it is it's over with, right? He just came out. Granted, again, he's snake bit, right? He didn't get to really showcase his talent, but it only went one round, but he was in control of that round for the most part. And he had the eye gouge, which was not intentional. It happens. But I think now that he's kind of back in there, I think he'll get another fight, and I think we'll see Leon Edwards in his rightful place within a year. But yeah, it's definitely the promotion's fault, bro. Because you have to fix that. So again, when you're big like the UFC or PBC, remember when PBC went through their purge, right? PBC started out really big initially in 2015. They had guys everywhere.
Right.
By the time 2018 rolled around, they didn't start purging people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you go too fast. So I think, and with the UFC being a monopoly, I think how bad it would be if PBC was Top Rank and Golden Boy and all the other Matchroom all rolled into one. That's what the UFC kind of has been, with Bellator finally catching up to a degree. So yeah, that's on management, bro. But it's growth.
Okay. Daggone it! I had a question for you, but you kept talking. Okay, so you mentioned Demetrius Andrade. What happened to him and Saunders? What happened to that fight?
I don't know, but Boo Boo got a fight coming up at the end of April, I think, right before Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders fight on the Mexican holiday in May. So, and I think he's fighting, is it Williams? Is it Liam Williams? Whoever he's fighting he's finally got a live body with him. These last couple of fights from Andre, you've been like, who is this guy? Who he's fighting? I think it's Liam Williams, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever this guy is fighting is, he's fighting for this next coming fight is a threat. So.
But you go from a title fight to a threat.
Well, with Billy Joe, he got suspended.
That was after the suspension.
Andre.
No, that was after the suspension, because remember we talked about that fight in December.
Yeah, but I think that fight was supposed to happen again, and Billy Joe Saunders got himself in trouble.
But he got the Canelo fight, so it was after the whole thing. Remember, because he supposedly lost the Canelo shot.
His suspension was for a year, right? Billy Joe Saunders ain't fought in, yeah. And I think that was, when they say suspended for a year, I mean, if he only fighting twice a year, then what is he really? So, I mean.
Right. But what I'm saying is this whole fight with Andre came out after the whole suspension deal had gone under the carpet, because he was supposed to fight Canelo last year, Saunders. And then he did the whole demonstration of how to beat a woman on a punching bag.
And that may be more of a Canelo thing than an Andre thing. I think we all know Boo Boo would love to take that fight with Canelo. I don't think Canelo necessarily thought that fight would do anything for him.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't supposed to fight Canelo. Saunders was supposed to fight Andre, but the fight just went away. It literally just went away. And then the next thing you know, Saunders has another chance to fight Canelo, and people are looking like, "Where's Andre?" But like you said, he has another fight.
Yeah, and when Billy Joe Saunders, and before Billy Joe got in trouble, I think Demetrius had to fight. Who was the first kid he fought down here in Miami on the zone? I think he had to take that fight to become the mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders. I think that's the route he was probably trying to go, and it backfired because Billy Joe got suspended. I think that fight still happens, even if Billy Joe loses against Canelo. I think that fight eventually, because I mean, for Andre, what else do you got? I mean, I don't think anybody on the PBC side is interested in fighting him. You never hear Caleb Plant mention his name. You never hear Benavidez mention his name. So it's almost as if. And has he? Oh, better question. Has he? He's officially moved up to 68, right? Boo Boo's officially at 168 now, right?
If I'm not mistaken.
Because if he's not, then that changes the whole turn of this conversation.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out where he is in his weight class first. And if he's already, if he's at 68, is that where he is? Then yeah, I think that's probably what happened.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Bro, you have a lookalike out there in coaching.
And who?
In coaching. I don't know if you've seen him, but Jay Peeps from the Run and Gun Penalty Talk hit me up and said, I was watching the football game this weekend and I had to do a double take because I was wondering what the Badger was doing standing on the sideline. There's a head coach out there that supposedly looks like you, bro.
Interesting. Okay. Well, if he's a head coach, he getting paid. I need some of that. If I'm gonna be his doppelganger, I need a fraction of the proceeds.
Well, his name is Vincent Dancy, and he's the head coach of Mississippi Valley State University.
HBCU, stand up. Okay. Yeah. And I don't really see it.
Yes.
That's nice try.
Bro. No, that is you, bro. When he called me about it, I'm like, no. I looked on TV, I'm like, dang. I told him, I said, of course that's what he's gonna look like. That's what, dudes who are wiry look like when they get out of prison. They're just what they look like. So it does have a resemblance. Other people I've asked, right around the face. Especially with the hat on, pulled down. That's how you used to look coming out of work. But since you've been an entrepreneur, you lost weight.
Shout out to Coach Dancy.
Yeah. Mississippi Valley State University.
Right. Down on the Delta, man. Y'all get it done this season, man. See what they got.
Hey, speaking of HBCUs, speaking of spring football, a lot of people are downgrading what Jackson State University's doing. They're talking about, well, it's not a real season. It's spring season. We'll see what they do in the fall. But these young men and these coaches look like they're taking it seriously, bro. They're taking every bit of it as seriously as if it was the fall. They're coming out. They're playing hard games. People keep talking about Edward Waters, but they've played 2 games since then, and they keep getting better, and their execution is better. Might have to hand it to Dion after a while. Maybe he knows what he's doing, putting together a good coaching staff, some good recruits. They're getting a new stadium. He's bringing a lot of people in that the kids really are adapting to, bringing good motivational speakers and teachers coming through. He might have something down there, man. I know.
Well, it won't take much. It won't take much to come in and really exact his influence. I mean, it is Deion Sanders. I just hope that Deion's heart is in the right place, and this is more about what we really think he's trying to do versus more about Deion Sanders. But yeah, bro. I mean, Jackson State's all listen, and if you had to pick an HBC to walk into, why not one that already has some type of financial stability already? And then they already have some tradition there. So this was the prime location for Deion. I mean, so this is the perfect storm. All the awareness built around HBCUs, equality, so on and so forth. I don't think this would be much. I don't think this would be as hard as you think it is, because I think Deion is one of those athletes that have an effect where you just want to try hard because it's Deion. It's almost in the same way as playing for Michael Jordan, right? It's almost like I just want to play great because this is the pinnacle of athleticism, not just football, of athleticism. So I think that whole thing around Deion is just going to really manifest itself. So shouts out to them Tigers, man. Shouts out to the J Sets. I much prefer watching them. But shout out to the Tigers.
Yes. And you have some ties to Jackson State. So shout out to Jackson.
We're gonna transition over into, bro. Did you see where Austin Trout called out Adrian Broner, bro? That is a thing. What is going on right now? Everybody want to beat up AB.
Because he don't look like he's the same AB. Looks like a shell of himself. Yeah, I can understand that.
Say, bro.
I can understand that.
I must say though, bro. Because it's a strictly hypothetical. What do you think about that fight? Because you know Trout probably watching us. That's a friend of the show. It's my buddy. That's our guy. What do you think about that fight, bro? And be honest, because I know he probably watching. I'm gonna be honest, and he probably gonna hit me when I'm done saying I'm gonna say. But
I think Trout beats him.
Yeah,
I think Trout beats him. I don't know if he stops him, but I know he beats him. AB won't let his hands go. If he let his hands go, not too many people in that division can keep up with AB. But he doesn't let his hands go.
Yeah, but he's at 40. He's at 47. You know, Trout's calling him out at 47.
I understand that. If AB would let his hands go and be that old AB in the ring, he's only 26, bro.
Who's 26?
I thought Brawner was just 26.
Nah, brother.
No.
Nah,
he's 30 what?
Brawner's like, yeah, he's like 31.
31, right. Okay, he's still
30,
31.
Yeah, very early 30s. Yeah.
That
He's got a lot of miles on him, man.
Let these go, man. Let these
He's
go.
got a lot of miles on him,
But
man.
you're going to get in there anyway. What are you saving him for? He's fighting
sharp.
totally defensive. Exactly. So get out the game. Because Austin Trout's going to abuse you. He won't take you down. He won't take you out. But it's going to abuse you.
Nah, listen. So, as I was looking at this, I was like, man, Trout, bro, what this fight look like? Bro, I want to see this fight. I think Austin Trout will bring the fight out of Adrian Broner. And here's why I say that. I don't think that Adrian Broner believes or knows or feels like Austin Trout could probably knock him out. So the danger of getting knocked out, I don't know if Broner would have that facing Trout. So if he does decide, if Trout start putting them beaters on him, I can see that bringing the fight out of him. I still think Trout beats him. I think he's just been more active. It's just at this point, even in my dog's twilight years, I still think he gives Braun a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see that. That's all I can say. Hopefully we will get to see that. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, they both PBC guys.
Doesn't mean they're going to fight each other. But
it means the business is easy to get done, but you're right. That may not be the fight that happens. Some good news, bro. Don't know if you saw my instant electronic mail earlier. It's going to be busy in the state of Florida next month, bro. Dana White just announced UFC 261 in Jacksonville, headlined by Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal 2, with Thug Rose on the undercard as well as Valentina Shevchenko. So you have two women being the featured bout in the co-main event, so Usman Masvidal 2. And on that same night in Kissimmee, guess who's in town? Uncle Bob in Top Rank, bringing Navarrete against Diaz and an all Puerto Rican showdown over in that way, bro. So it's gonna be busy here in Florida. You planning on getting out any of this stuff, man?
No. I'll catch him on TV.
Got it.
I thought about going to, I thought about that UFC, but we're not gonna be able to get into that. So
speak for yourself. I've been watching Lupin on Netflix, bro. I feel like I'm a master of disguise. I think I can get in.
Bro, unless you're going dressed as a Mississippi Valley State head coach, I don't know if you're going to make it.
I don't even know what that means, but I will say this. I'm excited about that fight card, bro. Not so much about the main event, because I feel like we already know how that's going to go. But Thug Rose coming back and Valentina Shevchenko, bro, I think this is a good showing for women, bro. I think this is going to be nice.
First of all, it's a weak main event. So yeah, I'll definitely be watching Thug Rose and Valentina Shevchenko. That's a weak main event. It's a payday for Usman. I don't think he's really under any real threat fighting Masvidal.
Boy, here's Here's the caveat.
And how did Masvidal jump back up there? Because he's not even ranked in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at the last rankings.
Listen.
But he's getting a second title fight in a year within a year?
Well, because Leon Edwards' his fault. They're not going to run him back. And he's on. Listen, bro, let's be honest. Can we be honest? He's washed everybody. So the next best fight is the next big ticket selling fight. Bro, this is going to be a great main event card. I'm going to tell you why. Because Kamaru Usman is not going to take him down. He's going to stand there and exchange with Masvidal because he wants to prove to Masvidal, not only can I beat you the way that I beat you, I'm going to beat you striking. He went to Trevor Whitman, and look at how much better his jab is, bro. We're going to see these two go toe-to-toe, and that's going to give Masvidal his only legitimate chance of winning the fight. Because if Usman decides he wants to take him down and hold him up against the cage or wrestling, then the fight is over with. But, bro, Usman is going to stand there and exchange with him, and it's going to be a great fight, bro. Mark my words.
I don't think it's going to be a great fight, but okay. The comment was based on you looking like the coach. From Jay Dixon, most deaf, no question. See? Thought it was just me. Other people feel like you look like him too.
Great.
So I don't know, bro. I would prefer even to see Usman fight Covington again versus Masvidal. Masvidal hadn't fought anybody else since he got beat by Usman, if I'm not mistaken. I've not seen him in there against anybody else. So why do you deserve another shot?
Just the same reason Kobe Covington deserves one. All of them got washed.
Kobe has fought. Kobe fought Woodley since that fight. He fought somebody else since that fight. So at least he has actually been active.
Right, and we stopped giving people credit for beating Tyrone Woodley 2 fights ago. So that don't mean nothing.
But at least he's been active. Masvidal nutted up in the first fight.
Bro,
so
Masvidal, this will be his second fight within a year, bro. When they fight? July, June? When they fight in Abu Dhabi? It was June. Okay, so he's fighting in April, so he'll be fighting in less than a year, bro.
2 title shots in less than a year. He don't deserve that. He doesn't deserve it.
Bro,
it's a BS fight, Dana. It's a BS fight.
They're giving him the proper opportunity to prepare because he took the fight on short notice.
You sounding more and more like a company man every time you describe something.
This is probably a favor that Masvidal probably requested. I take the fight on short notice because you ain't got nobody else that can fight him. You don't want the fight to fall apart in Abu Dhabi. So I'll step in last minute to fight him, and I'll do my best. But after that, I want a legitimate camp, 6-week opportunity to get ready for him. I'm okay with that. I don't think it's going to change the outcome, but I'm okay with that, and that seems fair to me. He's going to fight Covington again. He's probably going to fight Burns again because guess what? He beat the hell out of all of them. All of them will get recycled again anyway. I'm sure after Masvidal, then you'll get Covington again, and he'll get knocked out again.
Yeah.
And then you'll probably get maybe Leon Edwards if he's ready at that point. And then after that, if Usman hasn't retired, and he'll probably get Gilbert Burns again, bro. It's gonna be all these guys gonna keep getting recycled because none of them can beat Usman. So you're gonna see all the fights you want to see. You're gonna see them eventually because they all got to come right back to the ring.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of sad because you think it's a deep division, and then you look at. I mean, it is. You see all these 170 guys.
Same energy. We got to keep the same energy that when Mayweather was running that division, it was still a lot of great fights he made. And that don't mean Usman can't be in great fights. Mayweather was still in good fights. But, bro,
you're talking about 2 different.
This guy looks so much better than everybody at 170. I don't know if there's a guy out there that can beat him. Just like we knew there was nobody that could beat Floyd, even though Maidana landed 1 good shot. And everybody's like, oh, even though Mosley landed 1 good shot, even though some people tried to out-hustle him, even though Manny Pacquiao, we in our heart of hearts knew that nobody's going to beat Mayweather. Nobody's going to beat Usman. We all know that, bro. But that don't mean it can't be good.
Here's my problem with your theory. You're right. Nobody's going to beat Usman. Give somebody in the 7, 8, 9, 10 a shot. 1 through 5, he's mowed them down. Give somebody outside the top 5 a shot. Give number 10 a shot. Look, he can't do no worse than the guys that got washed. Nobody, and honestly, nobody really wants to see him fight Masvidal again. They're gonna hype it up,
You have to, bro.
but
you have to
nobody
get your
really wants to see him
bro.
fight Masvidal.
Bro, listen. I love your passion, but sometimes, bro, just think about the business of this. When has it ever been about the quality of the fight? It's always about what you can sell.
Oh, but you
Or
bring
a
up the
Masvidal
quality of the
fight.
fights.
But bro, because I'm saying Usman is going to give him the fight, is going to make it the most compelling. He's going to stand there and strike with Masvidal because we know if Usman goes in there and just tries to just wash him, he can do that. But Usman is not going to do that. He's going to fight Masvidal with his fist, which is what Masvidal wants, which is what he's been talking about the whole time since he got washed in Abu Dhabi. Bro, Masvidal is the biggest star in the UFC, not named Khabib Nurmagomedov, bro.
You said Masvidal is the biggest star?
That's why him and
Wait a minute.
Adesanya were on the cover of the EA Sports game. He's the biggest. Him and Adesanya, outside of Masvidal, are the two biggest stars in the UFC. We know that. They have the most global appeal. Masvidal's Peruvian. He is Cuban. He is Latino. He is all this. And by the way, he was a street fighter that we all got to watch come up through YouTube. He is a star. That's why he got to fight Nate Diaz for a fictitious belt that nobody wanted to see because they sold the fight. People know Masvidal. The casuals love him, bro. So again, this is the best fight to make right now for the money. Why are you acting like you don't understand that, bro?
I understand it. I just don't appreciate it. As a fight fan, I just don't appreciate it.
A fight we need to be concerned about. Saturday, Kevin Holland, Derek Brunson. We teased about this yesterday, bro. How you feeling?
It may turn out to be a good fight. I think it's gonna be a decent fight. It may turn out to be a good fight. There won't be any downtime in the fight.
Who do you think has the most pressure on him, bro?
Kevin Holland, because he runs his mouth. So I think he has the most pressure on him, but I think he welcomes that pressure. It's not something that, I think he welcomes that pressure.
Okay, so what happens to Derek Brunson if he loses this fight? See, that's why I asked who's the more pressure on, because we know outside looking in, Kevin Holland, he's the more bombastic, brash, shit-talking guy, right? But when we look at this, Derek Brunson has never quite... How many times has he fought for a belt? Let me look this up. I probably should have got on this before we got on, but he's been around for a while, bro, and he's never quite... So if you lose to the new kid on the block, is he a casualty of the UFC? Do we see him in Bellator next?
And what division is this?
This was 85, ain't it?
Right. He'll never win. He still won't win the title. So, yeah, we'll see him in Bellator. Which is going to kind of, again, it's going to... I worry about Bellator when the guys who and the women who can't win titles in the UFC go to Bellator, and if they become successful, you're like, wow, it really does show where the level of Bellator is. I'm hoping these Bellator champs can hold up to the guys who are starting to defect to them from the UFC. Because the last thing you want to see is UFC's second generation in Bellator.
Well, we already know, but until Bellator can afford to up these purses on more consistent part of UFC, bro, that's kind of how it's going to go, because you got to go where the money is good right now. We got a few guys in Bellator that can make that kind of money, but just a few, and that's a lot of sponsorship money too.
Well, they get a lot, and that's better for the fighter.
Oh, for sure. I'm not doubting that, but what I'm saying is, even your top guy in Bellator with all of his advertisements, he's still not probably getting $250,000 check. UFC guys, bro, they're earning $253,000, $400,000, $500,000 when they get into those top 2 or 3 seeds or that championship spot. They fighting for that kind of money. So,
well, when you hear from the UFC guys, a lot of times you hear different than what you're saying right now.
No, bro, I didn't say all. I said the top 2 or 3 guys in the
right.
Champ. So you're looking at
you got
man.
I got to get the Red Billy to send me that article again, the one he sent us a while ago, and they've updated it since then. Where you had a champion, you had a champion who actually had to have a full-time job because he wasn't making enough in his championship fights. He wasn't your Ronda Rousey at the time or your Amanda Nunes. He wasn't.
Yeah, you sent me the article. We had a couple of those articles, bro. We even had one where the young lady out in Arizona was waiting tables.
Yeah.
And still fighting. Yeah, for sure. That's well, I ain't gonna say 90. That's probably more. I'm sure that's more than half of the people in the UFC. But what I was saying was, picture this. Look at the 85-pound division, right? So you got Adesanya's the champ. He's making $1 million a fight or close to it.
Well, he came in as a star.
Then you got Robert Whittaker. He's a former champ, but he's not the champ. He's making a lot of money. Then you got the guy right under him. Who is that? That's probably I don't know, not Jared Cannonier, but let's throw Jared Cannonier in there. Jared Cannonier is making $100,000 a fight or better. That's every division UFC. The top 3 or 4 guys are going to make that money. In Bellator, though, I doubt that anyone outside the champion is making that kind of money. And the guys that are getting that kind of money in Bellator, that is their belt purse and their advertisement. That is their belt purse and their sponsorship money.
I would disagree with you as far as everybody in the top 2 or 3 in the UFC is making that kind of money, simply because when you hear champions talk, when Demetrius was still there and he talked about how he wasn't getting half of what other champions were getting who only had 1 or 2 defenses, and he had 10, 11 defenses. It's not a scale across the board. And that's what the one of the misnomers is about the UFC. According to Demetrius Johnson, and according to, oh man, I wish I had that article. It
ain't gonna be that hard to find, bro. I mean, this is the story of most people in combat sports, but
they talk about that. Most people think the fighters in UFC were making gobs of money, even at around the top, and they weren't.
Again, I'm gonna say this. I don't know how many fighters the UFC has in their roster, but I'm willing to bank. Now, I will say this too, and this is the sucky part about it. This may not be the case for the women, but I'm pretty sure that the champ and the 2 mandatory spots under the champ, I'm sure all those guys are making 6 figures per fight. And I'm willing to bet that, because that's only 12 fighters. That's only about 12 fighters out of 200 plus. So that's less than what? Probably 4%? That's about right. So I think you're taking what I'm saying. You're looking at it from, when you look at the numbers, I said the top 3 guys.
I heard you, and every time I respond, I reiterate that. And I'm just going by, again, majority of your champions in the UFC now I agree with you. In certain divisions, the top 2 or 3, I agree with you. But then when you start looking at other divisions, and again, I'm going by what Demetrius Johnson said as the champ, when he was the champ in UFC.
How long ago was that?
Oh my goodness. 2 years ago?
That was like what, about? He's been gone from UFC longer than 2 years.
3 years ago? It wasn't that long. 3
years
He's
been gone from UFC longer than 3 years. Demetrius Johnson been gone a while, bro. Come on now. Do better. He's been gone probably 5 years. 4 or 5 years from the UFC probably.
Demetrius Johnson's last UFC fight.
But yeah, so I'm thinking that wow, why they got this way? I was trying to find out, bro, who Thug Rose's opponent was. But anyway, I know we had Golf the Miles without Usman card, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Thug Rose on the undercard and Valentina Shevchenko, bro. Those are going to be some interesting fights. I think more pressure's on Brunson, bro. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think Kevin Holland's playing with house money. Because look, even if Kevin Holland loses, then what do we just say? Oh, he gonna learn a lesson, right? This is his first loss. We know he has immense talent, so he'll be back. Maybe this humbles him, right? Maybe he learns to keep his mouth closed. I don't know. But for Derek Brunson, I'm really interested to see where he goes, because I was just looking at his Shirt Dog ranking, bro, and let me go back to I clicked off because I was looking at something else. Brunson Yeah, bro. I mean, he fought Adesanya, and that was back in 2018. Souza, Machida, he beat Daniel Kelly, he beat Silva, he lost Rob Whitaker. Bro, he's been around for a long time, bro.
Yeah.
So yes, I think at this point, with where he is, he's currently ranked number 8, if I'm not mistaken. I think Brunson's got to win this fight, bro.
Okay.
He's 37, bro.
I mean, listen. I just said Holland based on what he's been saying. Brunson just steps in and does what he's going to do. I don't see Brunson becoming a champion at 85. So that's why I didn't really. But Holland is still trying to make a name for himself. Well, at least that's what he's acting like. I understand what you're saying as far as the pressure being on Brunson for that reason, that he may not have too many shots left. And he may be relegated to a gatekeeper, main eventing the undercard. I get that. So he might be okay with
he
that.
ain't gonna win it. You say he ain't gonna win anyway. So
right, he ain't gonna win the title. Who at 85 is gonna beat Izzy?
Bro, I just repeated what you said, bro. I just thought it was funny that you said it because it kind of circles back to the point. Well, I mean, it don't matter anyway at this point.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Holland's not gonna beat Izzy. So it's 6-1, half a dozen any other. Get your money while you can.
You say Holland ain't gonna be Izzy? Well, they ain't gonna fight anytime soon, bro. But that fight happens in 2 years from now, bro. With Izzy 2 years older,
Izzy's still getting better, bro. He's gonna fill the holes that are currently in his game.
Listen, what we're seeing from Izzy right now, okay, is Roy Jones-esque.
Yeah.
Izzy has limitations. They just can't be exposed yet because he's so physically gifted. I don't want to end up like Roy Jones. I want him to get all the technique he can, so that way we don't when the athleticism slips, we don't see it go a la Roy Jones. So I hope that's not what happens, bro, because it's some younger guys that's gonna gain that step that you're gonna lose because you're just getting older. That's just the course of things. Now, and he's a smart cerebral fighter. I'm not saying he's not. He's all of that. But I think that a lot of that we have really yet to see because right now he can still get with so much because he's so physically talented.
I think we always see his I would call him the cerebral assassin. I think we always see his intelligence when he's in the fight, except the slip up he had with Jan Blachowicz. Those 2 slip ups. But beyond that, he's always been a thinking fighter, even as a kickboxer. I mean, I remember really looking at Izzy before he came to the UFC. He's gotten better since then, but not much has changed as far as his game. You never really saw him do much on the ground. He always beat people on the feet. He was able to keep the fight on the feet. He had decent takedown defense, and he was able to punish people when they tried to take him down. Now, that's what he didn't do against Blachowicz, but again, I still say it was supposed to happen that way because it would have been a hard blow to the 205 division if Izzy had lost that one. But either way, I don't see anybody at 85 in the next 2 or 3 years really touching Izzy. He's going to have to make a decision. Do you want to retire? What do you want to do? Because he's going to be like Usman, where there are more fighters at 85 than there are at 70, but that are competent fighters. But I see them starting to recycle fighters like Whitaker already. Who else is at the top that can really challenge Izzy? So everybody's going to get a second chance at him. Then what do you do, Izzy? Have you made enough money? Do you move into broadcasting?
He said he's going back to 205.
Yeah,
he said he's going to make that run again. He said he just felt like this was the right time, but maybe not. But he said he made that run again. But one thing about Izzy though is, as good as he is, you talk about him being so cerebral. Like I said, there's holes in his game. His jits were not good in that Blachowicz fight. Like his jiu-jitsu was just not very good.
Yeah,
and
I said that.
And that's a hole in the game. No matter how cerebral you are, your scouts, however smart he was, that couldn't change the fact that when he got taken down, he couldn't get up because he has to work on that part of his game.
When I first started talking about Izzy, I said he has holes in his game. He has just been able to cover them up at 85.
Yeah,
But then he
and
got
a
the
lot of that also
205.
is
Go ahead.
because he's physically better than everybody at 185.
You get the 205. He
And
was
you're
fighting,
not physically better.
but you were fighting a smarter fight than the guy you were in front of until he got tired. They won't talk about it, but you could look at Blachowicz between rounds. Blachowicz was sucking air like he had a bag over his head. Okay. He started taking him down. When he took him down, didn't really do anything with him, but he took him down.
Don't have to. That's the terrible part. That's the part about the sport that kind of bothers me to a degree. This whole ground control thing. But as I'm learning more about jiu-jitsu, I kind of understand it. But at the end of the day, bro, yeah,
It was put in
a
place.
smarter guy.
It was put in place to nullify people like Izzy.
Ooh, don't go there. Listen,
It was. It was.
That's a discussion for another day. But yeah, so he took him down, bro, and he couldn't get up. So yeah, and that's going to happen when you physically aren't better than the people you are.
Or you're just lighter and you're not able to maneuver under this guy. This guy didn't give you airspace from he was belly to belly on him. So he didn't give you a chance to maneuver your hips. Yeah.
Yeah, he was physically stronger. That he imposed his will, and that's what and smart fighters. I don't know why Izzy didn't suspect that coming in. Maybe it was just too late. Maybe it wasn't enough time to work on this just to get efficient enough to where he could defend that. So he figured, hey, if I can just keep him from getting me to the ground, but boy,
he said his leg gave. He said they asked him that question, and he said his leg gave out when he was on the ground. He said he was trying to maneuver, and it's like his legs they atrophied. There was nothing. He had nothing left in his legs. So here's my theory. When I looked at it, Blachowicz was supposed to be able to knock him out on the feet. That's what everybody was saying. He won't be able to stand up to Blachowicz's power, his pressure on the feet. Nobody talked about Blachowicz taking this man down. Nobody. Not even Cormier. I didn't hear one podcast that talked about, not even ours, that Blachowicz needs to take him down. I don't think Blachowicz's strategy was to take him down until he realized he couldn't do anything with him on the feet. Izzy took his punch, that landed, and then it was at the point where, okay, the only thing I can do is just try to grab this man and take him down to keep him from hitting me and moving. And Blachowicz laid there on top of him. Didn't let him up. To me, he didn't do anything. He didn't advance his position at all on the ground. And I've actually heard, oh man, was it? Dana alluded to it a little bit, but then he backed off. I know Chael Sonnen talked about it a little bit, but then Chael's coming. And I listened to Chael because he was an Olympic wrestler. He's like, they give people ground control who don't advance their position. They just lay on somebody, throw a couple punches to the ribs, and that's it. The other guy has really nullified them from the bottom. But again, that's the game that they play, and they had to put ground control in place because too many people were getting washed. They were getting beat, and all they could do was take them down. They weren't doing anything when they took them down. There was really no ground and pound. They just took them down. So they said, hey, we're going to call this octagon control. We don't call it octagon control when you're on your feet, but when you get them down, we're going to call it octagon control. So you want to challenge me on it? Look at the UFC prior to 2010 and look at it after and see how often you saw anybody get octagon control early on in the UFC. And you start looking at the wave of fighters that started coming in around 07, 08.
Yeah, I would like to have a longer discussion about this topic because I just feel we can get deeper than just that. I didn't want to tie this into one specific fight or discussion, but let's have a talk about this on another show, bro. I think there's something to be said about it. It's not going to change any of the rules, but it's interesting. It is an interesting take, and I know some people that will agree with you. I know some people that will adamantly and vehemently disagree with you because as far as they're concerned, if this is mixed martial arts, and there are 4 martial arts to try to, well, not just 4, but there are 4 main martial arts that comprise mixed martial arts. If all I can do is get you on the ground and hold you there, then you stop me if it's that simple, right? Vince Lombardi ran 37 sweep, whatever that was, right? Until you could just stop it. If you can't, you just kept running it. So I see both sides, but I think it's an interesting discussion that we should have, though.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Carlos Newton, by the way. Former, if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't the middleweight champ. I think he was 155-pound champ or 170-pound champ. So an old classic fight where he lost his title to Matt Hughes after Matt Hughes was put to sleep. That began my questioning of UFC judgment. If you guys want to really get a good fight, go back and look at that, because he put him in a triangle when Matt Hughes picked him up in the air up against the cage. And Matt Hughes passed out and slammed him down, and they awarded Matt Hughes the belt. Not taking anything away from Matt Hughes as a fighter, great fighter, but shout out to Carlos Newton, because you never got your rematch. Hey, shout out to Mr. Dixon. Shout out to Samantha Clark. Shout out to my pops, my wife, who's on spring break out running the streets. Shout out to my daughter, who's in school. Shout out to Penalty Talk and the Run and Gun. Bro, they got a big show coming on this week. They got a big show. They got Jaquez Green as their guest on this week. So it's gonna be a good show to watch. We don't publicize a lot of other people's shows, but on Twitter it's live at 8 o'clock tomorrow at Penalty Talk, if you want to see that.
Hey, man, I might have to chime in, bro. I'm a Jaquez Green. Well, I hate him because he played University of Florida, but now I look back on him, I appreciate for all the records they broke and all the great things they did during that season. I'm going to check it out, man. See, glad to see the boys doing good, man. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. And they were telling me it looks like they're going to have Tiffany Green on in April, which is a big,
yeah, you tell me about that.
Big move. Okay. So, it's good to see. Listen, they working, man. They working.
Prime real estate. They in prime real estate. So
they're working. Speaking of prime,
what of a gym they have, man, to keep polishing that thing up. It's going to be nice when they finish with it.
Speaking of prime, shout out to Deion Sanders, the person that the Badger emulated growing up. As you can see with the sunglasses and the hat. And usually he has the gold chain on that he tucks in. Defensive back himself. So, just want to give you kudos.
Everybody wanted to be Deion. Actually, Steve Atwater was my idol, but Deion Sanders was Deion Sanders was Deion Sanders.
Let me ask you this. I love Steve Atwater. I love this game. Who, if you were ranking 3, I'm just going with 3. Chuck Cecil, Steve Atwater, Ronnie Lott.
Well, I know that Steve Atwater is not no. You have to give credit. Ronnie Lott is, he's Ronnie Lott. That's so I would say it would be Ronnie Lott and probably Chuck. I mean, I like Steve Atwater, but I understand how this stuff goes. So but yeah, maybe I wedge Atwater in between Cecil and Lott, but Lott is definitely number 1 though.
That's how I would rank them. I would definitely have Atwater ahead of Cecil.
Yeah.
Very, very, very intelligent players. You look at Ronnie Lott's transition from corner to safety and the extension of his career he got by moving from corner. When I was coaching with Tampa Bay Bulldogs, the head coach there, Coach Emery, he actually played with Ronnie Lott with the San Francisco 49ers under Bill Walsh. And he was talking about just how prepared Ronnie Lott always was. Always. He was even prepared for practice. And he took him under his wing, and he was trying to tell him, he got injured, but he was trying to tell him, when Coach Walsh comes in and says nobody makes the team in the tub, he's just telling you, take care of your body. Mm-hmm. You're already injured. You have time to heal, but take care of your body. And he said Ronnie Lott always did that. He was a heat-seeking missile, but he was a well fine-tuned missile. So, not going to extend this day. Love you guys. I'm gonna turn it over to my partner to close it out. He'll probably insult me, and then we'll be on our way.
Yeah, we will see y'all tomorrow on our more refined show. But we'll be a little bit more, formal and talk about things that, nobody wants to hear about, at least for one segment. Shouts out to Clarissa Shields on Joe Rogan. Looking forward to hearing that interview. I wonder who she going to trash in that one. Keyshawn Johnson has our condolences. He lost a child, his oldest daughter. Sorry to hear about that. So prayers out to Keyshawn. Spread the love out there. It's kind of crazy out here. A lot of pollen falling. I'm sneezing. I'll be all right and be ready for tomorrow, Fight Nation. We'll see y'all. Peace.
I'm wearing the same shirt tomorrow.